Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Earwax. It's Colin, and today we're going to be doing a review of the brand new album from technical death metal band Revocation, New Gods, New Masters. Now, I will be the first to point out and admit that I am a bad metalhead. For the amount of metal that I listen to, there's just waves and waves of more that I haven't heard of. I think that really kind of boils down to the fact that I listen to so many different genres of music, it's hard for me to dedicate a lot of time and attention to one particular genre or even like subgenre. There's obviously some of those that I gravitate towards a little bit more, and some that I don't give the attention it needs. And I feel like metal overall is one of those. Ironically, though, if you ask my wife or my friends, they think that's all I listen to because especially with some of the more extreme metal that I listen to, it's usually what I'm listening to alone or like if I'm putting on a record. Just because when I'm around other people, I don't have a ton of friends that are as into metal as I am. I definitely have some, but I feel like when I do get a moment to like, hey, what do I want to listen to that I haven't been, listening throughout the workday with my coworkers or other stuff, I gravitate towards that. That being said, there are so many bands and even like subgenres that I just don't give enough attention to. I think metal in general is a great example of like really at its core what I am as a music listener and music lover, and that is a jack of all trades and a master of none. That being said, though, as far as technical death metal goes, it is a genre that I tend to gravitate towards a lot. A couple of my favorite bands of all time are like two of the pioneers in the genre in Death and Atheist. There's some more modern aspects or more modern entries into technical death metal, modern compared to like the 80s and 90s. But in like Gojira, which is another one of my all-time favorite bands, recently Rivers of Nihil, which I was planning on doing a review of their new like self-titled album that or new it came out on the spring. I want to say like May. Which is just another reason I'm a bad metalhead because I didn't do a review of that album even though I was planning to. Also, I just haven't been doing enough metal reviews on this channel. I feel like it's been a while since I've reviewed a true metal album. Not counting the most recent review of the latest Dance Gavin Dance album. So yeah, I was pretty excited, actually like very much looking to do a metal review for this week. Now, where I'm really going to call myself out here, and I'm more than willing to take whatever insults you want to throw at me as someone who claims to be a metalhead. I am not just a little embarrassed to admit that I had no idea who Revocation was until yesterday. I actually just randomly saw a review for this album on Metal Insider on one of my social media threads and was like, I'm looking for a metal album to review. Let's check this out. So this morning, my first listen to New Gods, New Masters was my introduction to Revocation. And oh my God, what the fuck have I been doing for the past 20 plus years? These guys have been putting out music because, oh my God, I did not realize what I was missing in my life. This album, I'll get into the track by track breakdown in a bit here, but this album is fantastic. It is everything that I was looking for in like a modern metal album. It's not just technical death metal. They've got some really solid thrash on there as well, which after doing a little bit of research on the band, I guess is kind of indicative of like the early parts of their career. Their last album, which I did listen to as well today, the one right before this, that I can't remember the name of right now, was more just straight up like death metal, a little bit of brutal, a little bit of groove, definitely some tech prog influences, but it was almost like straight death metal. Whereas this one, I definitely found a really cool blend of thrash, tech death, progressive metal, some like there's some sludge parts, there's some groove parts. Like it's a fucking kick-ass album. And yeah, very, very glad that I stumbled across this and chose to do this. I will give a fair warning right now. If you've watched some of my reviews before, you know that like when I really like an album, I have a hard time like pinpointing differences in songs. I end up just gushing about it. So this may not be my most well-spoken review, but man, it was sure fun to do. So before we get into the track list, if you could please comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff helps me out a lot. And without further ado, let's talk about the music itself. So the album starts off with a title track in New Gods, New Masters, and it's got this like kind of slow, heavy, doom leaning like intro into the first, like 15, 20 seconds of the song before it just hits you right in the face with some like traditional tech death blast beats, intricate rhythmic guitar work, without being too like flashy or overdone. The vocals are like one of the things that really drew me into not just this like opening track, but the album in general. The lead vocalist here, whose name is David Davidson, which, despite kind of having a ridiculous name, is clearly a fucking genius when it comes to this type of music. Has a really great range. He'll go back and forth between like, very tangible and like, clear, harsher singing and like, rougher. I don't want to call it clean singing because it's not, but you can definitely kind of like hear what he's saying, and it's a lot more clear than some more of like the traditional growls and screams and squeals you will get on death metal. But then he throws some of that in as well, and it's just such a nice contrast. This again, that's like the first few opening parts of the song, nothing too crazy, pretty straightforward. But then it breaks into a very thrashy, like virtuoso-esque guitar solo towards the middle that is not like cheesy or corny. It's so well done. It fits really well with the aesthetic of the song. And that's something that you'll find on a lot of tracks on this album, is kind of that duality between the really intense in your face, just like pounding death beats, and then like really more sort of atmospheric sweeping guitar work, and it just works super super well here. There's parts of the bass that gets like borderline funky, and it's fun, it's groovy, it's catchy, and yeah, just absolutely a tremendous opening track. After that is sarcophagi of the soul. And yeah, another like nothing super different stylistically from the opening track. You get a little bit more of like a thrash influence at the beginning here, but then like the death metal comes in very quickly after that. The intricacies in the guitar work reminds you that they are like a technical death metal band. The drums here, absolutely fantastic. Just does a really, really good job of like seamlessly switching out between very like rhythmic pounding like machine gun blast beats and then more sort of like groovy jammy rhythmic beats, and it works super super well, going between the more clear sounding vocals and then the harsher ones, which again kind of you're going to get that throughout the majority of the album. And another absolutely breathtaking like atmospheric solo towards the end. And yeah, like I gotta realize kind of the same commentary I gave on the first one, but it still defines itself stylistically. There's some chugging, there's some like really, quick tempo changes that does separate it out a little bit. And it's yeah, another absolutely amazing song. After that is Confines of Infinity. And yeah, this song is fucking wild. So there's some moments that again are like are borderline just sludge metal on this, very slow, very heavy, very just kind of in your face and tribal almost to an extent. You've got a vocal feature from Travis Ryan of Cattle Decapitation that just works super well, especially like when it comes in right towards the end in the bridge, and you get that like dueling vocals and the really high like screams and screeches with the more like deep guttural screams, and it's absolutely awesome. There are parts when like the slow chug kind of immediately switches into again like the faster machine gun sort of blast beats, the just pounding like aggressive guitar, the fucking again just duality across this song, and how it takes you from just like a super intense groove to just like a headbanging intensity, and it's fucking absolutely insane. This might actually be my favorite song on the album. It's I haven't three listens in, I haven't really like picked out a song that I think is my favorite because they're all so goddamn good. But this one's a very strong contender. And then you've got Dystopian Vermin, which is got a straight up like Primus-esque slap bass fucking intro before it just gets right back into the brutality. And yeah, I mean, another just fucking A+ song. It's right in your face. It's intense. It eases off when it needs to. It brings you back up when it needs to. Drumming, fantastic. Guitar work. Again, just that really good intelligence of knowing when to ease off and then when to like bring you right back in. And yeah, again, I'm not varied commentary here, I'm realizing, but every song on here, while like maintaining the elements that you're looking for in an album like this, have enough of a personality that they don't blend together and just keep you like in gripped in the entire experience. And it's such a killer song, like at this point in the album, because it's tying more into like what's coming after with a little bit more of the technical stuff. They get a little proggy after this, but it definitely keeps the core brutality of like a death metal album. After that is Despiritualize, which has again some more sort of rhythmic, catchy, groovy intro pieces before having a quick like borderline progressive like classical guitar bit that works super well. There's some like slower, more melodic points on this, definitely some more progressive death metal parts on this. Vocals again all over the place, but like also like very unified. It's got probably one of the best like atmospheric solos towards the end of it, and just another really good example of how talented they are, at least on this album, of effortlessly switching between like really intricate leads and then just like raw power. And it's another track that just is beautifully done. After that is The All Seeing, which is an instrumental track featuring an Israeli jazz guitarist in Gilad Hexelman. I'm not going to pretend that I knew who that was before this. I had to look him up. We'll definitely check out some of his stuff, but like a weird feature that works super well here, especially for an instrumental track. This is hands down one of the most like technically intricate and progressive songs on the album. Being an instrumental track, the guitars really are the focus here, and the rest of the instrumentation knows that. The drums, even when they're like again quick and in your face and raw and intense, they're still just kind of laying the groundwork for the more technical, intricate guitar work that is taking up the main focus of this track. And a really nice sort of like intermission piece before we get into the next few songs. After that is Data Corpse, which is another pretty much like, you know, page out of the technical death metal rule book, or, you know, instruction guide. I don't know, however you want to phrase that. It's probably some of the best drums work we get on the entire album. Really showcasing how good their drummer is at doing the more sort of like groovy, melodic, intricate pieces, and then just like sporadically throwing in the blast when they need to, but not overdoing it. The guitar work here, again, kind of what we've gotten up to this point on the album, but still doesn't quite feel stale, which is amazing. Vocals here, absolutely incredible. The shifting that they have between like the more virtuoso soloing and the drop tuning is just flawless. And towards the end, there's some like honest to God, like hardcore vibes, which I was not expecting, but they don't overdo it to the point where like it comes off as like inauthentic or cheesy. Like it's just done super well. And then after that is Cronenberg featuring Johnny Davy of Job for a Cowboy. And the only thing that I was really missing on this album was a vocal feature from Johnny Davy. I absolutely love Job for a Cowboy, one of my favorite deathcore bands of all time. Even though they kind of moved more into like straight up death metal in their later albums, but like their first couple albums definitely were just like straight up deathcore. But yeah, this song fucking incredible. Again, the dueling vocal stylings here just works super well. More overly complex guitar work that seems effortless, more incredible percussion. The bass here actually shines through outside the rest of the instrumentation at certain parts, which is hard to do in music like this. And yeah, another just fucking banger of a track. And then we end with Buried Epic. And yeah, I mean, what a fucking amazing last song. It's 7.5 minutes. It's a culmination of everything we've gotten up until this point on the album, but just done slightly better than it's been done somehow. Features probably one of the most like impressive vocal guitar features. I think it's both. Honestly, I can't tell. I'd have to look at the credits. But it does list Luc Lemay as a feature of Gorguts, which is, you know, long standing tech death band. And yeah, just a killer way to end the album. Just again, like just kind of we get a little bit of everything we've gotten up to this point, just drawn out a little bit more, showcasing what they can do, having fun with it, getting weird, getting technical, shifting tempos and pacing like it's nobody's business. And yeah, it's a killer track. So if you can't tell, I love this album. I'm gonna give it an A. It's not quite an A plus. I think it could have been a little bit longer, even though it did come in at like 44 minutes, which is not a short album by any means, but I feel like I got to the end wanting just a little bit more. Luckily, they have, I think, 8 other albums up until this point that I get to go back and now discover. Also, I do think that there was a couple parts where they could have thrown in a bit more variation and just as far as like the song structure goes. But those are very small critiques. It's the only thing that I think is keeping this from being a perfect fucking album for me. But goddamn, is it really good? So obviously, I'm behind the curve. If you already know about Revocation, you're probably like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. You should have been listening to them for 20 years. And clearly that's the case. But better late than never. This is a killer album. Hands down, one of my favorite albums, favorite metal albums, at least of the year. Probably will end up being one of my favorite albums. And yeah, absolutely adored this one. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of this album. If you've listened to it, if you haven't, go check it out. And as always, I will talk to y'all later. Peace.